Hey, this is Liz, and you're listening to the SouthCack Syndicate podcast.
We're back. Episode 6.
7.
7. Is it 7?
6. Episode 5 was NFT blockchain.
Yeah.
Yes, right. Episode 6.
Knocking them out.
We actually had feedback come through Facebook Messenger.
Sweet. We don't even have a Facebook.
I know. I guess they found me privately. Shane.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. Turn this this headset down just a hair.
Are you too?
I think so. Yeah, that's better. Perfect.
I'll do the same thing.
So we also encourage, if you do have feedback, we love all constructive criticism, good, bad, or indifferent. So hit us up at the email.
SouthCackPod@gmail.com.
Or find us on Instagram at
SouthCackPod.
SouthCack Syndicate.
Oh, yeah, that's right. SouthCack Syndicate. You're right.
SouthCack Syndicate with a Y. And you can message us through there as well. We actually had a magazine hit us up. Where are we with that? They want to do.
I got another email today. We're supposed to fill out something we haven't filled out yet, so we'll have to get on that.
Leave it to you.
I know.
That's all right.
I'll get to it tomorrow.
But that's pretty good. So give us an update, kind of the people that have listened to the first 5 and watched us grow from the first one with Hugh. What kind of listener base do we have? Have we got more than 5 people?
More than 5. I don't know. Across all platforms, I think we're getting ready to break the 1,000 mark, maybe. Not people, listens.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm sure there's the same people listening to multiple shows. We got our Russia listener.
Still on all.
Well, I don't know, but we got one.
And we brought that up on the episode -1.
It was episode 0. Yeah,
I don't think we ever did.
No, it wasn't. It was the advertising.
It might have been.
And we were talking about radio.
Yeah.
And we were saying,
that's right.
You got these big radio stations that cost all this money. I mean, you spend a couple $100 and we're going to reach people in Russia. And then the next day,
damn,
we had somebody listen from Russia.
Russia listener, if you're listening, hit the email up. We'd love to send you a koozie or something from here.
But
so
we've got a pretty good listener base. Pretty good listener base in Canada and U.S. would be, I guess, our 2 main. But
it's funny. We thought South Carolina was going to be one of our biggest, right here. And we do have some local friends. We've never promoted the podcast. It's 100% grassroots, which is really cool. Some of our closest friends and outside friends are saying, hey, didn't even know y'all were doing a podcast. Yeah. I ran across it. So-and-so told me about it, blah, blah, blah.
That's the funniest part.
We appreciate all you guys that find value in what we have to say, and we love to hear some feedback from you. So please send us some emails. We'd love to read them live on the podcast.
Yeah, whatever. So today we're talking optimum business deals. What are we talking? We're talking if you had a dream deal.
Or what do we look for?
Yeah, we want to go for what we look for, and then I think we want to talk about, from the dream deal or business to the total opposite of the spectrum, right? Because
worst deal.
Yeah, what's the
worst deal ever? I've got one.
The worst deal is where you're trading time for money and you're not making that much money. That's the worst deal, period, right? And the best deal, I guess, would be the other side of that, which would be almost no barrier to entry, hardly any investment.
Yeah.
And you have to do nothing in the business and it makes you money.
It's a scary deal.
Why?
If you looked at if you had a graph, an L graph, and it was risk on one side and reward on the other, I never want 0 risk, high reward, because if it's too good to be true and you don't have to put in work, that's probably what you're going to get. It's either going to be a bad deal or somebody's got a horseshoe maybe. I don't know, but 0 risk and high reward.
Yeah.
That's pretty sketchy.
You're not going to have 0 risk because I guess there's 2 ways to look at this. If you're buying a deal, you want to stay away from those because something is a little fishy. If it's that easy and then there's no risk, something's funky. But if you create a business and you create something that's so special that you're a market of one, that kind of business could be that, though, where there's very low risk, right? I mean, there's some risk, obviously, in some investment and getting going, and there's some time you're going to have to, some elbow grease you're going to have to put into that. But potentially, that, I think of Facebook. The Winklevoss boys, when they created that, when they had dude create Facebook, very low risk. And if they would have kept it, like if it would have been theirs and wasn't stolen or whatever happened, it would have been the highest, payoff.
So does that make them have a bad business? I mean, they're Harvard guys, right?
Yeah.
Did they make a bad call?
Yeah. They just didn't structure it properly.
No.
And dude took it. No experience.
None whatsoever.
Nope. And I mean, when you're talking to some guy that just is doing the coding for you, your thought process is that they're not going to, like we've talked about in episodes past, ideas are worth nothing.
Unless you execute.
The difference was they had the idea. They didn't think that the guy that was going to build the code was going to execute the idea. Sure. They figured that he'd just build the code and give it back to him. Mm-hmm. That's not what happened.
No, contracts keep friendships, and business.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm doing a deal right now with a really good friend. We put a contract in place, right?
Oh, yeah.
One of my best friends, Adam. We don't do a deal without an operating agreement that says Jared is this, Adam is this. There's no question after that.
Yeah.
And it just keeps friendships, and business.
Yeah, and it lets everybody know what's expected too of the two partners.
That's right.
That being said, me and you have no operating contract on this deal, but that's all right because there's nothing. There's really nothing to be had at this point.
We've got Russia.
Yes. Yeah. So
that's about it. But that'd be a good subject today for what we look for. And there's multiple deals. There's real estate deals. There's that are brick and mortar. There's that you're looking at cap rate and lease agreements and what it can do, and equity and futures. There are currently running businesses that need a capital injection for a percentage, which is totally different than brick and mortar.
Yeah. So I guess deal is a broad term. So I guess to kind of bring it back for the listeners and the viewers, what we're going to talk about is like a source of income. And that is the deal. So that could be whether you're buying a business and there's a deal in that, or you're buying a piece of real estate, or if you're just like creating an app or creating a blog that you feel like you can make some money on.
Sure.
That's a deal. I mean, it's not a conventional deal, but there's some initial capital or some initial work that needs to be done in hopes that it's going to pay off down the road. Mm-hmm. That's technically a deal. So, we can kind of go there, I guess. So when a deal comes your way, what do you like? What's your first three thoughts?
Which guy do I currently partner with fits it best? Because a lot of what I do now, if I'm not interested in the deal, I've built a network of guys that are.
You just pass those on.
I can pass it on for percentage. I can pass it on straight gratuity. Here, thank you.
Right.
You're welcome. But if I'm interested in it, some people do not want partners in deals. They want to be the sole owner of the deal.
Yeah.
I got a great friend of mine. He won't partner with anybody.
Yeah.
I don't partner.
Because of bad experiences or that's just
I think it's
non-negotiable?
I don't think it's no. There was definitely one bad experience. But for him, it's more just control.
Yeah.
I don't need to make a phone call to make a decision. That kind of thing. And it works for him. He's done very well. He will partner, but it's like, man, I really don't want to.
See, and I would think that he would partner if he was investing in a jockey.
Yeah.
So if there's somebody that's already an operator and he sees what they can do, he's going to be all about, hey, let's partner. I'll just inject some capital.
Yeah. I don't like partnering either. And I've partnered with two people on deals, and I'll keep their names different or won't even bring them up. One of my partners, actually both my partners are numbers guys, right?
Right.
I see value in them because I don't come from a CPA background.
Yeah.
They understand everything way better on that end than I do. I bring in their weakness, which is boots on the ground people.
Let me ask you this. If you'd have never partnered with somebody, if you'd just been like a solo guy your whole life, you wouldn't know half of what you know right now.
Not only that, I would not be near as successful as I am now.
That's what I'm saying.
I've made some people a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they have made me a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right. So I have no problem admitting to my partner, this isn't my strength.
Yeah.
This is your strength. Let's do it this way.
Yep.
They have no problem admitting to me, I'm not, you are the strength in this area.
Yeah.
So this is a good deal.
Kind of goes back to
not a good deal, good partnership.
I mean, this is not like a partnership comment, but I get a lot of comment, like a lot of people will hit me up they ask me, how do you get in a certain business? And for me, most time it's fabrication. They want to get their own fab shop, whatever. How do you get into that business? And I always tell them the same thing. I'm like, you need to go find somebody that does exactly what you want to do. If they're building race cars, go find them. If they're building, custom car, whatever it is, go find the person that does exactly what you want to do. Make sure they're successful, and then go offer to basically work for free. Mm-hmm. And they're like, what, for free? I'm like, yes. I'm like, the education that you're going to learn from doing that is going to be way more valuable than any money they could pay you.
No question.
And that kind of goes with the partner thing. Like, I've had different businesses or doings with folks that I've learned a ton from that I would have never, if I learned it on my own, it would have took me a long time.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. The two guys that I partner with now have taught me more than any college degree. If I would have went to school for 4 years, not only would I be in debt, but I would have no real life experience in it.
Yep.
And blah, blah, blah. Before I started partnering, I had made very expensive mistakes. I made enough bad business mistakes to pay for my college.
Yep. There's a saying, I wish I could remember it. In school, something about like in school you can't cheat. In business, you steal the playbook or something along those lines.
Sure.
Where basically from afar, I could watch somebody like you or somebody else and see what they're doing and be like, okay, I got the playbook. Now I need to execute the play.
Yeah.
Right. They're saying, don't try to figure out the plays yourself. Don't create the plays yourself. Go find somebody that already is doing that, is successful at doing that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then steal the playbook.
Absolutely. Or partner with them.
Or partner with them. Right.
If you bring value piece, there has to be value add. I've had a lot of people say, hey, will you take a look at this for me? Yeah, I'll look at it for you.
Yeah.
I'm not partnering with you. It's not really my wheelhouse, but I'll tell you what my thoughts are. And some of them are like, man, you should definitely do that. Do you want in? No, I don't.
Yeah.
Not because I think it's a bad business deal. It's just not what I'm into right now.
Yeah.
Right.
And the work for free thing is, I guess, not that. But I guess the value that you are offering is like, hey, I'll sweep your floors for free. I just want to watch what you're doing.
It's the P. Diddy model.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what P. Diddy did.
Yeah.
Right. He literally started sweeping floors in a record studio.
And watched the operations.
Everybody else.
Yep. Watched what happened, how they got clients, how they did this, how they did that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the rest is history.
Yep. Well, and he takes that playbook and then he turns it up a notch. He does the P. Diddy way, or whatever it is.
If he'd have just stayed out of the music videos, Tupac might be alive.
Yeah. And Biggie.
Yeah, and Biggie. But I don't think that partnering is a bad thing. Some people will have a totally different outcome.
Just got to find the right partners.
Or decision on that. You just got to partner right. And it is in marriage because it can go bad.
Oh, yeah.
Quick.
Yeah.
And it can be successful quick.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when there's synergy in that, two people can have the power of four.
Yeah, you bet.
You know what I'm saying?
And your Rolodex doubles.
Yes.
Right. And your 6 degrees of separation goes to 2.
And your clout goes up.
I'm telling you.
You got two people that maybe are both pretty influential or whatever that, and, it's like, oh man, they're both working together.
Yeah.
We need to figure out what's going on over there.
That's right.
So
I wish that we could get AT in here as a guest.
I know, right?
And he is, he's still in Costa at the moment.
Is it? We need. Can we? Do you have like a vice of what's his main vice that we could like seduce him with? Does he have one?
He does, and probably I don't know. We'll
work on that.
He'll be back in the States here next week, and I'll see if I can twist his arm or something because he would bring a lot of value to this as well on this particular subject.
So I mean, the thing is going back to that kind of conversation too, where you need to learn from people. That's the fastest way to be successful is learn from others. That's why we started this. We can have people sit in that seat right there.
Yeah.
And teach us things that we don't already know.
Not only that, let me read one of the comments. I'll read part of this. And it was, hey, thanks to episode 5, I actually have a tiny bit of knowledge about NFT, blockchain, etc. Kyle's examples really helped. That made the whole episode worth it right there.
That's right.
So just to hear the feedback.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like we've talked about before, we don't really know what we're doing. I mean, I guess if you compare us to maybe the average Joe, But we know a little bit about a lot of stuff.
Sure.
We don't know everything about one thing. You know, and that's where we're constantly trying to figure things out, trying to learn new things.
Which is why we started this whole thing.
Yep.
One,
Exactly.
so we could bring a little bit of value to some people, or a lot of value to others, and we can watch ourselves grow in other deals. Like, you know, before we started recording, I told you a deal we were working on today.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like if we can bring those up a year from now or a month from now after it closes, and we can learn from that.
I would like to have episodes at some point, and well, let me kind of finish my first thought. I would like to have episodes where we basically go start to finish on a deal. You know, something that could be talked about that would kind of fit, and not necessarily a real estate deal, but like any kind of business that we start, you know, start to finish. You know, maybe even the clothing company, maybe we do, you know, start to finish on that thing, like how much capital it initially takes, how easy it is to make 100% hands-off online clothing company.
Sure.
You know, we could kind of go through that start to finish, maybe even some other deals or whatever down the road once some of these close or whatever. I think that'd be cool for listeners. You know, I've listened to a lot of podcasts, seen a lot of videos, and the basics are usually talked about, but not like the nitty gritty. Like, go here, do this. This is what you do. This is what you do next. Like start to finish, I think would be pretty cool. So anyway, back to what we were saying. What do you look for in a deal? A deal that you're going to be interested in. That kind of either you search it out. Sure. I know some deals in particular that you're working on right now that is something you've been like kind of looking for.
Yeah, for a decade.
Yeah.
This one particular deal I'm working on right now, and if we can pull this off, I want to tell everybody about it. It's really exciting. And I've been looking to get in this space for probably since 2010. Right. And I'm really excited if we can all come to an agreement.
Make it happen.
What I'm looking for in deals. So, being in corporate for a while, met a lot of people all across the country, you know, and so that network will never fail me from then till I die. Yeah. You know, some of us become really good friends, but there are pitches that come across my email that say, hey, don't know what you're doing these days. Take a look at this. Tell me what you think. And I probably get one a month, three a quarter. Yeah. And out of those one a month, I can either say, hey, that's awesome. Good for you. It's not my wheelhouse, but go check with so-and-so. Yeah. But if there's one that I'm really interested in, I never make a decision without talking to somebody. And we'll have Tommy on as a guest at some point. But Tommy's like my go-to. Hey, what are your thoughts on this? And if it's not Tommy, it's a small circle that I really pay attention to and value their input. Right. Adam, Brian in Louisiana, Grant. Yeah. Like this small circle. I never make a decision by myself because I don't claim to be the smartest guy in the room either. Yeah. Well, there's always stuff you could be missing. No, but what I do is I take the pitch deck, I go through it as if somebody else would go through it, and I get all the answers because I know these guys so well. Yeah. I know the first questions what they're going to ask. Yeah. So that's my go-to, and I've learned so much from all these guys. It's very important, and I keep saying this, relationships are everything. Yeah. Everything. They'll always have my best interest in mind. Yeah. My tight circle will never let me make a bad decision. Right. Now, they may say it's a little risky. If you're willing to risk X amount of dollars, go for it. Yeah. One of Tommy's favorite sayings is, I like the deal. I'm unsure of the deal. So if you've got $100,000 to lose, go for it. That way it's zero risk to you. Yeah. But if it hits, that's a home run. Yeah. And I have to pay attention to that. He puts it in real terms for you. Oh, well, all my circle does. You're effing crazy. Yeah. But throw that in the trash. Yeah, but just saying you're effing crazy is one thing, but it's like, oh yeah, if you got $100,000 to lose, go for it. Because that hits a little bit different. No doubt. Because the whole you're a little bit crazy thing could be, well, yeah. I am crazy. Yeah. We don't get this far without being a little crazy. We're going to take some risk. But then when you start putting it in dollar terms. That's right. And he puts it in like, if you're willing to lose it. It's like, okay, let me think about this. Well, that's what risk reward really is that we talked about earlier. But I go ahead and take this. I'll take pitch A. I go through all the questions that I need. I go through all the questions that I know, and I already picked out in my head who I'm going to send this to,
Right.
which guy it fits the best.
Right.
And so I'll pick this guy and say, all right, here's the deal. Tell me what I'm missing, or give me your initial thoughts on it. And sometimes it's like, we need to explore this a little further.
Yeah.
Are you looking for a partner?
Right.
Well, yeah, actually, I am.
Yeah, and if they're looking for, if they're asking if you're looking for a partner, that
They're
think it's a
in.
good, yeah, that think it's a
They're
good
in,
deal.
yeah. And so, and AT and I are in one right now. Same thing. He's like, I like it. Let's keep exploring. So I've already done the legwork, and if I can't, but one of the things I look for, the main thing is, what's the investment? What's the percentage for that investment?
Yeah.
And how fast can I get my investment back in my pocket?
So what are your standards? Like, do you have a set rule or everything's different? Let's just do real estate to kind of make it easy, and people can kind of extrapolate to every business. But like, if you're going to buy a building,
I would be a bad example. I would be a bad person to talk to because
example.
I like
you buy shit that doesn't roll,
Adam,
and then you make it roll.
I make it roll.
Yeah.
Adam calls me the CEO, and it stands for Chief Equity Officer.
Yeah.
Not Chief Cash Flow Officer.
Yeah.
Right. And so Adam's all about cash flow. Brian, and most of my guys, actually all of my guys, because they figured it out. Where I'm Chief Equity Officer, I'll roll in there and buy a piece of real estate. I'll go in and rehab the building, and I'll sit back for a minute. I'll rent it out, make a little bit of money, and then somebody will want that piece of real estate.
Yeah.
And that's when I cash in.
Right.
Banks hate it. My guys hate it.
Yeah.
I don't mind it, because I know the equity will always win.
Yeah, I think there's a saying out there that says, if it don't roll, say no. If it don't flow, say no.
Yeah.
If it don't flow, say no.
Yeah.
Which is tough.
That's not where I live.
Yeah, and that's a tough deal too, because the thing is, most investors in, say, real estate, if that property flows, or we can put on anything, a website, an app, if it flows, they know what the value of that is.
Oh, yeah.
So you're not going to really get a good deal, right? And so I get the idea, if it doesn't flow, say no.
On real estate, there's very simple equations. I mean, it is black and white.
Yeah.
This is what the cap rate is. This is what you need to pay for the building.
Yeah.
I don't live in that world.
One of the things I like to do, and for like those that are listening that aren't familiar with like what a cap rate is, it's basically how fast your capital is going to come back to you. There's a formula to figure that out. Capitalization rate is what cap rate stands for. So one of the things I like to do that's super simple, especially in real estate, is they call it the 1% rule. It's not something I made up. So I've heard people talk about it. It works really well though. Basically, you want that thing to be able to.
If I pay $100,000 for the real estate, it better rent for $1,000.
Yes,
That's it.
1%.
Yeah.
It should rent. Now this is not.
That's not cap rate.
It's not cap rate. You're
That's
right, because it's not factoring
that's a
in.
rule of thumb.
It's a rule of thumb. It's like the first thing I look at, because this thing is cap rate is determining. It determines. Cap rate's based on if you paid 100% cash for it.
Yes, it is all dependent on cash. This is cap rate is not included.
No, because you don't know what the insurance is. You don't know what the rate is. You don't know what kind of loan rate you got.
That's right.
There's all kinds of factors in there that could change with the cap rate.
Yeah.
But the 1% rule won't always get you there, but it's a good start in my opinion. If you pay $200 for it, it needs to be able to rent for $2,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good base to go by.
That's right.
Now, whether you're borrowing the money, what kind of interest rate you get, what the taxes are, what the insurance is for that area, all those things are going to factor into whether that investment's still a good investment, how much money you have to put into it.
Yeah.
But
Go ahead.
a good rule of thumb would be 1% rule. I like that rule.
For normal people. That's right.
Yeah.
See,
And
I'm very high risk. Like I will jump off the cliff and figure out how to sail down, not just come to a dead stop. So for me, you got a beer delivered.
What? Sweet.
Liz.
My hand is in every.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Liz. For me, it's buy the building, rehab the building. Pro formas mean absolutely nothing to me. They're very important to a lot of people, and I would still say they're very important. Like,
Yeah, but in my opinion, those are like, it's like a make-believe story they're trying to sell you on.
look, and especially I learned this from Brian. He's like, look, man, I can make performance say whatever you want them
Yeah.
to say. I'm a numbers guy.
Yeah.
And Jared, I'm not a numbers guy. So
Yeah.
I don't do performance. So I'll buy a piece of real estate. I'll dump in whatever money into it that I need. I know I'm still of the mindset, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
And Main Street Walhalla is a perfect incubator.
Yeah.
Like laboratory to test. I get to play SimCity for real,
Yep.
buy real estate, rehab it, create the businesses that I want to see in town, and go from there.
Get it rolling. So
Not a lot of people would do that.
Yeah.
Some of my tight circle said, "You're nuts."
Well-
in 2015.
and I see why they would say that.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, everything you've done has been successful.
Sure.
But if you would have rolled a bunch of money into one of your properties, created the business that you've created, and then it was a dud, so then you can't sell it,
Yeah.
and you have all this money in it,
Yeah.
then
And we've seen that happen.
then you might look
in
at so and so and be
town.
like, "Man, you're right." But because that's never happened, you're like, "We have seen that happen here in town. Somebody do that."
Yeah, we don't get into that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a kind of a tricky game. You can't get over the tips of your skis. I mean, you have to if you put
You got to feel comfortable in where
Yeah.
you're in. And I never want us to say, man, take all your money out of the bank and go buy real estate because that's
Yeah,
the way
yeah.
you're going to do it. And go and borrow money and rehab because you're going to be great and it's
Yeah.
going to work out for you like it did me. I'm not saying that at all.
So let's-
like I took a risk.
yeah,
No question.
Okay, let me ask you this then. Say there's somebody watching or listening,
Okay.
and they want to get into real estate.
Okay.
They've never purchased a property, never rented,
Sure.
never signed a lease, nothing. They've never done anything. They got a little bit of money. What do you suggest they do? Where do they go first?
Find an expert. It really depends. I can speak a lot more to the commercial side than I can the residential side.
Yeah.
I flipped one house and I hated it. And I'll tell you why. I made, I don't know, maybe 70 grand on the flip,
Yeah.
but it was just a job. Hooch and Trey worked their asses off to get it done. And
No
but
creative process in
there
it.
was nothing. It was a house and it needed this and this. And it was like blah. Commercial buildings have a soul
Yeah.
to me. Right.
Well, yeah, and I think
they've got a history to them.
and the fact that you like to create something
Mm-hmm.
that is like a business is like a person, or I don't know.
Like clay. You get to shape it, mold it.
Yes, but you also get to see it operate. It's like a car, whereas a house is like a house. It just sits there.
Yeah.
A business is like a car where you get to see it move.
Yeah. So what
You get to take it for a test drive.
the justification I put in doing the house was I made a really amazing home for somebody to make a lot of memories in.
Yeah,
And that's it.
but that didn't excite you as
And it
much.
did not excite me as much.
Yeah, because you don't get to see those memories being made.
That's right.
But in a business, you do.
In most of the buildings in Walhalla, they all have operating businesses in it. And my satisfaction comes from I did that.
Yeah.
And I'll spend money there and I'll support the businesses in there. And I did that.
Yeah.
And that's cool. I'll move on to the next one. But
Yeah, you get to see the payoff in more than just
yeah, so if
the money
if
side.
somebody wanted to get into real estate right now, with interest rates where there are, elections coming up, I would go back to what Tommy would tell me. If you've got $100 grand to lose,
Yeah.
go for it.
Well-
But you'll never lose the $100 grand.
Let's think about it like this though. Because to me, every market is there's you can win in every market, in my personal opinion. You can figure out a way to win in every market. I mean, we could even go back to the wholesaling side.
But we won't, Andy.
Technically, if you're really wanting to get into real estate, wholesaling wouldn't be a bad way to get your feet wet. You just got to make sure you got buyers
Yeah.
for your property.
If you're willing to put in the work and you're willing to take the risk
Yeah.
and keep your day job today,
Yep.
right, you're going to have to. I could be totally wrong because I'm not the expert in the room. I don't see brick and mortar, if you get it for the right number, a bad investment.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Yeah. I'm with you.
I don't see it. Now, you may have to sit on it for 5 years,
It may go down for a little while.
but I don't see it a bad investment.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
And so for this small town, people are like, well, aren't you concerned with the people that are on your current council?
Yeah.
that make the decisions. Let me tell you what, from
won't be-
2015 to 2022, we didn't ask permission.
Yeah.
And it shows. We got way more done. Now, those days are gone. And now we're kind of getting into the bottleneck of,
Yeah, but
why can't I do that? So you'd want to pick the right town where you're at.
this is what I'm with you though. Real estate's always going to be, it may take a while, but it's always going to be there. You look at like some of the big movers that are moving into this town. We were talking about one earlier.
Yeah, that's right. That's
You
right.
know, that building that he bought,
That's right.
I never
Banging.
thought it would be sold. I looked at it. I walked in there and somebody had come in there, ripped all the copper out of it.
Purchase price never scares me. Upfit always does.
Yeah.
That's very important.
That was a big upfit too. But
Purchase price never scares me.
when
Upfit always
when he
does.
gets that thing done, it'll be a pretty,
Millions.
it'll be a sweet building.
Millions.
Yeah. So you see these big players coming into town, and a year ago maybe somebody that was wanting to invest in this community would have been like, "Man, but I just don't see what's going to happen here." And then all of a sudden,
Boom.
the ones that do get it come in here and buy everything up, and then
There were a few of us that started in 2015, and we didn't know each other at the time. Like, I'd moved back from the Midwest, didn't know what I was going to do. So I was going to fly fish and paddleboard for like a year and just see what
that was going to be your job, be a
that
pirate.
was it.
You're just going to be a professional
Have the
pirate.
lake house, and I'm just going to
That needs to be your tag, professional pirate.
pirate everything, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to hoist the black flag and slit some throats, but hey.
You got Hugh with a Patriot.
Yeah.
You're a professional pirate.
Yeah, sure. So there were a few of us in 2015 that we came back home, and we didn't know each other, and all of a sudden, one building got bought, another building got bought. I lost out on a building 3 days.
Yeah.
Because I waited 3 days. It was on the market forever. And then a lady named Lana Justice came in and said, "I'll take that building." And we met. I was like, "You stole that from me." She's like, "I didn't see your name on it."
Yeah.
And then we just started buying up everything. And then we built a great relationship.
Yeah.
Right.
You leased from her for a while.
Rented an office space from
Yeah.
her at 224. She put the first co-work in Walhalla. I
Yeah.
put the first Airbnbs.
She did a good job with that too.
The Airbnbs were her idea.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
No, upstairs. Talking
Yeah.
about? No, I didn't know that.
So we were at 224, and it became just a think tank for me and Lana. Holly was in the room. There was somebody else in another
Yeah,
office.
it was a great space, man. Because
We just jam out and then just throw ideas against the wall and
Yeah.
walk up and down Main Street. Do you want to buy this? Yeah, let's buy that. You want to do this? Yeah, I'll buy that. You buy that. Okay. So I said, "Have y'all heard of this Airbnb thing? Think it'd work?" And she's like, "Well, you got an upstairs you're not doing anything with." I
yeah,
was like, "Oh,
the lofts.
yeah." She said, "You should call it Lofts Over Main." I'm like, "That's genius." Over the streets, under the sheets. She came up with the tagline.
Yeah,
Just genius, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we did, and it worked. Like, I've not had a failure on Main Street yet.
Yeah.
Well,
You've done
Arthur
good.
Brown Square was a failure.
nah. Well, yeah,
Yeah, we bought it. Adam and I bought it. 3 months later, hurricane or whatever hurricane hit us,
Roof fell in.
all the way in, and it collapsed.
Yep.
So city ended up buying it
The
from
thing
us.
is, though, is if that wouldn't have happened, it would have still have been a win.
There's no question. Purchase prices in 2015 were pennies on the
Yeah,
dollar.
you didn't pay nothing. You had a whole block in town.
Bought the whole whole block.
How many retail spaces were in there?
I think the cap rate was 29%.
Was there how many doors though?
The
4
cap rate
doors?
was 29%
Really?
when we bought it. Unheard.
Yeah.
I called Adam. I was like, "Hey, I'm thinking about buying this piece of real estate." And he said, "For how much?" And I told him.
He goes, "You want a business partner?"
He said, "You want a partner? I'll do that deal."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Sure." Now, this is where partners come in. Because it collapsed, Adam's already been through this before in his lifetime. So he went, "I'm going to handle this." Because it collapsed, Adam took the insurance side, and he worked with the insurance company to figure it all out. Had I not had that,
You'd have been screwed.
I'd have been banging my head against the wall trying to learn it all myself. But it worked out. But yeah, that.
But if it wouldn't have fell in, you had what? Those 4? Was there 4 retail places there? The restaurant,
There was like 9.
including the back and stuff, which wasn't.
Some of it was storage, 9 or 10, and there was a little apartment upstairs.
Yeah.
But
there was an apartment upstairs. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So, and a buddy of ours actually lived up there a decade ago.
Yeah.
Like, man, I used to live up there.
So funny story. So back at this time when he bought this place, it had a big shop space in the rear of this building. And at the time, I was looking for a shop for the Fab Forms to work out of. He's like, "Man, I got a space over here." He's like, "Man, I'll lease it to you cheap." I was like, all right, I'll come check it out. So me and him went in there. We walked around, looked at it and everything. There was one thing inside this building. It was the top to his Jeep or something.
Yeah.
The next week,
Yeah.
the thing falls in, or maybe it was a month later or whatever. And I was thinking, shit, I'd have moved all my cars in there.
Yeah. Insurance company paid me for my Jeep top too.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nothing.
They were like, do you have evidence? And I sent them a picture with a beam in the middle of my Jeep top. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was good. But that's one in a million.
So you're kind of the oddball then. You kind of, when you look for deals, obviously they need to make sense for you, but you look for the thing that sparks some interest in what you can create out of that.
Yeah, on the real estate side, 100%.
You look for that chunk of clay that you're like, man, I can see this and that.
Mm-hmm. And having a vision head is a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
Because I can see what it looks like finished before we ever start. Now, my checkbook sees something a little bit different.
Yeah.
You know? And now that Megan's in my life, we see it sees it a lot different.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you got
But and I think I'm done on the real estate side.
Yeah, I don't believe you.
No, I think I'm done on the real estate side.
Well, let's.
I think I'm leaning towards the business side. You know,
like buying a business
or investing in a current business.
Yeah.
I'd love to look for an operating business with key management in place.
Yep.
And then that way we just go in and streamline it a little bit better.
Right.
Now, some of my guys, they want 51% of the business or they're not getting in. They don't want to put in operating capital for a capital injection and not have control of how the money's spent.
Yeah. Well, because they want to grow it and they can't grow it if they don't have control.
That's right.
Yeah. So let's do this. Let's take a little break, pay some bills.
Yeah, you bet.
And I'll tell you what my dream.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Are you looking for the perfect vacation spot for your next adventure? Whether it's hiking beautiful waterfalls, mountain biking Stump House Park, wake surfing on Lake Kiwi, or jamming at your favorite concert, Megan Ketterman with Oconee Hospitality has beautiful homes available for short-term rental in Oconee County, South Carolina. Contact Megan today to book your next vacation stay at www.oconeehospitality.com.
Are you looking to make Lake Huey your destination? Work with local licensed expert Rhea Land Smith, your certified resort and second home specialist at Lake Huey Real Estate. Servicing buyers and sellers since 2013, Rhea is your local expert helping you navigate the real estate waters of Kiwi. Let Rhea make your life a vacation. Call 864-710-9547. And remember, land is her middle name.
Okay, we're back. Thank you for staying tuned for the SouthCack Syndicate podcast. Hope you're enjoying the content for this episode number 6. Hit us up on the email at
SouthCackPod@gmail.com.
All right, so we're talking business and what we're looking for. So I've done a lot of the talking here. So Kyle, why don't you
dream deals? So
give me an idea where you're at.
Me and Jared, we see eye to eye on a lot of stuff. I like the creation side too. I'm not risky enough to do that, I don't think. I would just assume buy something that's already rolling, or something I just need to put a little bit of lipstick on to get it rolling, right? I would enjoy what you do if I had the time to put into that, right? Because you kind of made that your full-time gig for a while.
For a minute.
Yeah, I mean, you were hanging out, running crew, making sure it's done the way you want.
Yeah. With no experience.
But you could at least be on site and working with those folks.
Yeah, but I had a good team. Hooch and
You did have a
Trey,
good
team. Everything we created in Walhalla was done with Hooch.
Yeah.
Key people are important.
Right. So I think for me, we kind of see the same as far as real estate goes. I don't do what you do. I'd rather have something that's rolling so I don't have to be spending a bunch of time there or money. It interests me to be able to do that, but obviously I haven't done that yet. But I think what I like, and when we talk like perfect deals, I really like anything that you're not trading time for money. And we've talked about this before with like the YouTube channel, really any kind of technology you could almost do this with. A blog can be a very low time for a big money payoff type of deal. You put a couple $100 in to begin, you create a nice website, you create some content, you spend an hour a day making a post, you can actually make a pretty good living, just through that. If it's the right content and you know what you're doing it the right way. nowadays it's so easy to make money through Amazon affiliates and that sort of thing that it's like, it's crazy, really.
OnlyFans, man.
Yeah. I mean, pictures of feet.
Take pictures of feet and make $20,000 a week. We're trying to figure out business so hard, and there's a girl selling farts in a jar for $500.
I know, right?
Like, what
Yeah.
is wrong with this world?
Oh shit, I seen this thing. And I don't want to get off topic too much. I seen this girl, she's a YouTuber. I can't even think of her name because anyway, she's apparently some big YouTuber overseas or something. And she would spit in a jar and sell them. Maybe she just sent it to somebody. Anyway, yeah,
Insane.
there's so much going on. I mean, the ASMR stuff that we talked about, which is, we don't want to get into that, but
Not at all.
no. So anyway, it's crazy. But yeah, I mean, back to like regular, like you could literally create a YouTube channel. You can create a blog. You need something of value. You have to, you're gonna have to post content that has value to it. People are gonna want to, they're gonna have to want to consume that. You can monetize that so easy today. I mean, I remember back years ago with the forums and all that stuff, it was so hard to monetize that. Nowadays, it's super easy. You just got to have the traffic.
Well, because there's videos that teach you how to do that. When you started, there wasn't
even platforms though. So the most valuable platform right now to help monetize any kind of following would be Amazon, hands down. So used to what happened is if you had a website that had a good amount of traffic, you'd put Google ads on there. There are little ads on the side of the page that everybody hates fooling with. And so it's kind of a catch-22. It's like, man, do I want to try to make a little money, but I don't want to piss everybody off that comes here.
Sure.
And you would make literally cents if they clicked on that, on that little ad or whatever. And nobody clicked on it. Nobody wanted to see that stuff. And you couldn't determine what ad was showing. And so like you're on a website looking at paddle boards, and then they're showing you ads for like a tiller.
Yeah.
Or, it's like it doesn't even match.
Yeah.
Well, what Amazon did was beautiful was they started an affiliate program, and you can basically offer up any product you want on the site. And then what they did is they said, hey, we're not going to pay you if they buy just this item that you offer to them. What we're going to do is if they click this, if you just bring them to our site, we'll give you a commission on everything they buy for the next 24 hours. And so I tell these people all the time, I'm like, what happens with me on the YouTube channel is I'll get the clicks. Dude goes and looks at the tool that I recommended or whatever. He doesn't buy it though. But 10 hours later, his wife comes through and buys all kinds of shit. And guess what?
Diapers and pliers. And
I get a chunk of that.
that's crazy.
And,
Crazy.
yes. And so and I can actually go through and look, see what's sold, and it'll blow your mind. It is like toilet paper, diapers, whatever. It's all kinds of stuff.
Oh, don't look at my Amazon purchases.
Yeah.
I think Amazon messed up when they gave you the ability to look at what you bought 10 years ago.
Yeah, and you're like, go back.
You can tell exactly what stage in life you were in. Or from me, I can tell you exactly what was going on in my life by my Amazon purchases.
Like bottle opener.
Like one time I bought a case of Red Bull and a Husqvarna chainsaw.
Same time.
At the same time.
Yeah.
I guess I thought I'd need the Red Bull
To get all the work done?
get the Husqvarna.
Yeah.
And then me and Wes were in my kitchen in the Midwest, and we spilled a beer. And Wes said, man, they make one of these rags that you just put over and it stops it up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'll order one. And so we left the beer on the floor.
Until you got the
Until
rag.
we got the rag. By the time the rag came, the
Done dried
beer
up.
was dried up. And then I needed a mop. Like, it's the stupidest
Yeah.
stuff. Never drinking prime.
Oh, yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a prime example of why it's so easy to monetize things now, because you could just be the same night, y'all could have been watching something.
That's right.
Oh, man, that's cool.
Oh, it's a sham wow.
I'm going to buy
That's
one.
exactly what we were talking about.
Oh, that's the sham. Well, I'm going to buy one on Amazon. Click. So it's never been easier. You just have to create the content that people want to consume and then, offer these products up. And the beauty of it is they actually are the products that you're talking about. They're not, a tiller on a paddleboarding site.
That's right.
So, those kind of businesses really excite me. Whether you buy them already done, making money, rolling. I was telling you about Flippa, which is a site where you can go on. You can literally buy these websites that are already established, already have 600 pages worth of content out there floating around. Google's already recognizing them. They're searching high. They're usually around certain industries, and then they make money either through AdWords or Amazon affiliate or some form of something you don't have to put your hands on. You're not waiting on somebody to order a T-shirt or a hat and then have to put it in a box and ship it out. Like, all you need them to do is come to the site, read the content, and then click the link, and you're done. That's it. You don't fool with it. You can go on vacation. You don't have to actually be anywhere. You don't have to have any employees. Those to me are the most powerful businesses. Now, it's hard to scale those businesses, though. It's hard to make big money.
What's your risk?
Very low risk. So you're talking about if you're going to go from the beginning, fire up a website like that, you're talking maybe a $150 commitment or something. That's domain name and like
a lot of time.
Hosting for 2 years. It is a lot of time. So there's a lot of work involved. And you got to have, you got to kind of know what you're doing because you want it to look super professional. Mm-hmm. You want the SEO to be right. You could farm some of that stuff out, but we're talking $500. Mm-hmm.
But a lot of time.
A lot of time. Like I said, you could farm some of it out initially to get you kind of going.
Which is cost.
You're right. But we're talking, so like go back to like the real estate thing. For somebody that's like a young person wanting to get in real estate or just wanting to find something to do, right? They're going to make some kind of investment no matter what.
Sure.
If you had a pressure washing business, you're going to make a $250 to $300 investment just in a pressure washer. And now you're trading time for money because you're not going to make $1 unless you're pressure washing a house or whatever it is. So it's kind of the same thing. Take that same $500-$600 and invest it in something that's going to potentially pay you back for years, right? It'd be kind of like if you went to pressure wash somebody's house and you say, I'll pressure wash your house if you pay me $5 every year from now till I'm 55 or whatever.
That works on the manual side. The pressure washer example totally works. I don't want to mislead anybody by saying you can buy a tech company or you can start your own tech company for $500 and be fine.
Yeah, it's all of its work.
It's not only going to be work. On the tech side, everybody's teching right now.
Yeah.
I'm worried about where our work base is going to come from after people graduate because everybody wants to be a YouTuber or an influencer.
You're right. You're right.
So I don't want to mislead anybody. If you're not willing to put in work,
it's all going to take work. But the way I look at it is, would you rather put in a ton of work and only get paid once for that work? Or would you rather put in a ton of work and potentially get paid forever on that work? Mm-hmm. And if you can see the difference in that, that's a powerful thing.
It is.
Real estate's one of those. You're putting in, if you're putting in $200,000 in capital to buy a building, to rehab, whatever, the amount of work it took you to earn that money is technically the work that you're putting into that building. Mm-hmm. But if everything's right, that building should make you money from now until you decide to sell it, which could be your entire life. Mm-hmm. And then when you sell it, you're going to sell it for more than what you paid for it, most likely.
What's your dream business?
Oh, man.
If you could have one business that you wanted, or is your business owning a lot of tech companies or owning a lot of real estate, or is it one business?
I really like the idea of real estate. I don't know that would be like my dream business. I think it's what I see as the most, has the most potential long term. My dream business would be a job that I could do from anywhere in the world with very little stuff, right? I'd love to travel. Me and the wife just take off in a converted bus or something. Or a nice motorhome, whatever it is, or even fly overseas or wherever, down to the Caribbean.
Yeah. And
all I do is take my laptop.
Yeah.
And then every day I log in.
Yep.
I make a post.
Yep. I'm with you. And
then everything else on the back end happens by itself. Mm-hmm. The money's automatically sent to my account. All that stuff happens already. That would be the ultimate.
Well, of course it would.
Yeah. So
but what's the business?
It could be, anything. The first thing that comes to my mind would be like some sort of blog or, something where you're just basically newsletter.
Are you late to the party on that one?
No, because there's so much.
There's so many out there. You're almost lost.
You're lost if you can't bring value to somebody. Like if you're just repeating what everybody else is saying, then yes.
Sure.
And that's the tough part. It's not an easy thing, right? But there's a lot of people now.
I say that while we're doing a podcast when there's already 60 billion podcasts out there already.
Right. Exactly.
But,
talking about the same thing we're talking about.
Yeah.
For us, it was less about spreading the information versus us getting the information.
That's right.
And then even though we're not going to try to reach everybody, if we can just reach some people and help in some form or fashion, then we did our job. Right. But I mean, technically I could sit down I'm not a very good writer, but I could sit down in a blog and basically write the same stuff we talk about. And hopefully somebody's going to read those.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
Okay.
I'm going to throw you back to probably 2011.
Okay.
Kyle started a blog called Beer, Botox, and Bling.
Yeah.
Do you remember this?
I do.
Triple B.
Still got it.
Beer, Botox, and Bling.
Yep.
So tell me about why you started that. I guess you started because of exactly what you're talking about, right?
Kind of.
Now, this was kind of pre-influencer day. 2011, Instagram was there, but it wasn't like...
This is before Instagram. This was probably before 2011.
Was it?
I think so. But yeah, I mean, it was just, so the idea behind that was, well, there's kind of a story behind it. I actually created it for my wife at the time.
There you go.
And it was going to be more of like girl stuff, cocktails and, whatever the hottest thing was. You think about a modern day Instagram or TikTok influencer and what they're putting on video. Today I'm making this cucumber
Melon
drink.
Vodka.
Yeah. And so it was that just in blog form because that's what was cool then. Like we didn't have those influencers doing that. All they did really is take that business model and move it to a video, which is a lot easier to do.
Sure.
So that's what it was initially. And then I ended up going through a divorce. And so I kept it and I turned it into like more of a man's thing. Right?
Is it still out there?
I still have
Is there an Instagram page?
I think there
for
is
it?
an Instagram page.
I'm gonna look it up while we're live here.
I know for a fact there's a Facebook page for it.
And keep talking about some of the content and what that was at the time.
Yeah, so I mean, and so then basically what I turned into was all those dream things that you'd want to do. If you wanted like those dream vacation settings, perched up on a hill, overlooking the ocean, sitting in a hot tub on your back deck, like it was those kind of pictures that I was like sourcing and I didn't put that much time into it. And the fact that it's still sitting out there is kind of funny.
So I see Bling and Botox as a website.
No.
And now there's 25 of our friends that already like this page, but that's not the one.
Let me show it to me. Let me see. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, that is it.
Yeah.
So it's under Bling.
I must have changed the name.
Bling and Botox. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's a nice jet. Yeah. So
it's all about the finer things in life.
Oh yeah. Good post. Your last post was October 2nd, 2020.
Yes. And that was, and if you look, I probably went through a string of like 10 posts and then
October 1st, 2020.
And then it goes back like
September 30th
to like 2015 or something before that.
Yeah. Oh, this is good. So check it out.
So, well, don't even worry about checking it out. So initially that started off as
it's a dead deal.
Yeah, it's a dead deal. I don't have time for it. I kind of hang on to it because, at some point maybe,
Sure.
It would be awesome is if I had, say, 15 of those sites, right?
Sure.
And then you basically have people that work for you that produce those and they can live on their own terms as well. And it's easy to kind of manage those folks because you can just go on there and look and say,
Yeah.
you didn't make any content today or you didn't do whatever, right? My wife is a stay-at-home mom, so I would love for her to kind of find something that she's interested in, similar to that. We've talked about actually, she loves to watch shows on Netflix, and I'm like, we should just start a blog where you just review shows because she'll just binge watch.
Yeah.
People would love that.
What is she into now on Netflix?
She's watching I don't even know if it's Netflix. It might be like HBO or something. She's watching some kind of vampire.
Oh, God.
I know.
Okay, Heather, we need to talk.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. I barely catch it. When I get in the bed, it's time to go to bed.
Yeah. So I got a Netflix account. And it's just like, why? Why did I do this? And I got into Breaking Bad. I'm way late to the party for Breaking Bad, but I'm in the middle of it right now.
It's pretty good. My problem with TV shows is I don't have enough time to watch them.
Well, the problem I have with TV shows is I'll binge watch. And it kills my night or
2 or 3 o'clock in the morning still watching.
Like, oh, shit.
I do that too.
It's like,
I got to watch another one.
Yeah, so
anyway, that's kind of, and obviously what attracts me when it comes to deals is may not be the most likely to happen.
Sure.
But it's the ones that are very low barrier to entry. I guess when you look at like risk return, like I always want to take the minimal amount of risk with the most return. And those are unicorns.
Of course.
Right. They're unicorns. And so, but that's the kind of stuff I'm attracted to. I will tell you that YouTube taught me a very, very, very valuable lesson in the fact that I don't have any interest in doing anything where I'm trading time for money unless that time is traded for potential exponential returns. Mm-hmm. Right. I got some stuff I'm doing right now in the shop for a guy, and it's like, I'm going to grind and weld for an hour, and then he's going to pay me for an hour. After that's done, it's done. I don't necessarily want to do that kind of stuff.
That's right.
I want to look for those that are going to pay me long term. So yeah, I mean, real estate's kind of one of those. I mean, you have to deal with tenants, you have to deal with certain things, but for the most part, it's kind of hands off. The problem with that though is like if I was in Cancun for 6 months and something happened, unless I had some boots on the ground, I'd have to,
How old were you when you started your YouTube stuff?
I was, I guess,
30s,
early 30s.
Yeah.
I was like 32.
Yeah.
Which I was old. I was late to the game, first of all. If I would have been 10 years younger, I would have smashed it.
Well, you're crushing it pretty heavy right now. Yeah. In comparison to
not compared to what?
Not compared to global, right? But compared to
but I
local.
I look at a lot of these. Oh, maybe local, but that's not saying much. I look at like these creators that are on there that are doing similar to stuff to what I've done in the past, and are smashing it, dude. They're making,
bank
tens of millions of dollars yearly in ad revenue just on YouTube, and that doesn't count brand deals and clothing sales and all the other stuff they're doing,
Sure. So a couple podcasts ago, we brushed very briefly on 23. That's kind of why I asked you how old you were when you started YouTube, and Lindley asked, can y'all talk a little bit more about...
If I was 23, what would I do?
Like, here we are now, but if we knew now...
Yeah.
If we were 23 and knew what we knew now, would we have done anything different?
Absolutely. And the thing is, I was trying at 23. I was trying to come up with something. I think I probably wasn't much older than 23 when I created the original forums. So I was trying stuff. The problem that I had back then, though, is I didn't, I wanted a business that sold stuff. And so I wasn't looking for that, that early work for long-term returns. Mm-hmm. I was still trading time for money. It was just, I was going to have to make the product that I was going to trade for the money. I didn't really get the whole idea of, I didn't even know you could do that at the time, I don't guess. Had no idea about real estate. I mean, I got that people own those things and they rented it, but all you ever heard was, tenants are bad, you're replacing toilets, you hear all those things. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of trying to like figure my way out and create things, businesses and whatever. But they all had to do with me working all the time in order for that to happen. And I think that's where I failed. I mean, the forums themselves was probably the first venture I did where I could create that baby and let it flow. And then it could grow on its own. It could work when I wasn't able to work. It could do all those things. I just couldn't figure out how to monetize it properly.
What would you have done different at 23?
Well, I mean, if I didn't know any better, I probably wouldn't have done anything different. But if I knew then what I know now, I would just look for those things that that had the potential to grow without me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Take it down a notch and reword it.
I would look for those things that you could, and everybody's familiar with tech now. Back then, nobody was. This is back when I was 23. There was no Facebook,
That's right.
so there was no big tech really.
Yeah, kids, in a land before iPhones did exist.
There was no such thing as an iPhone. Yeah. We had a phone that you flip out. You could talk to. You could talk.
Went to Bounty Land to find out what was going on for the weekend.
Yeah, there was. Listen, youngsters, there were still pay phones.
Yeah, that's right.
You could pull over, put some quarters in a phone, and you call somebody.
That's right.
So at the time, because this is going to sound silly when you say, "Oh yeah, create something like an app or a website or some kind of technology," or you could create. It could be a car wash. It could be an ice machine. It could be any kind of investment.
Reoccurring revenue.
Yes, it could be any kind of investment that it does the work for you, and you just occasionally have to go kind of check on that thing, make sure everything's working like it's supposed to, right? It could be anything like that. But those are the things that I would look for. At 23, I knowing what I know now, at 23, I've probably been stacking cash to make a large purchase like that. I'd have tried to buy a car wash. I'd have tried to buy some ice machines. I'd have tried to buy something that I didn't have to be there every day. I didn't have to pay for employees.
Where were you working at 23? Were you at Forklift?
Probably so. I was a forklift mechanic, I think.
Would you have tried to buy into the company you were working at?
If there were different owners, you mean? Because the owners that were there, I would have had no interest in trying to,
Understood.
But yeah, I could see the value in the fact that they were making a lot more money than I was.
Yeah.
And that they were making money on me.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Right. So I was probably an entrepreneur at 23. But it didn't pan out the way I needed it to.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to what I was talking about too. When I say trading time for money, you can trade somebody else's time for money. That's okay.
Not your own.
Not your own. And so like my early businesses when I was 23, 24, 25 years old, I was the only guy doing it. And I didn't think about, hey, why don't I teach somebody how to do this? And then I can still run this business. I'm just not having to do all the labor. There's still going to be some stuff involved, but just because I say don't trade time for money doesn't mean it has to be some kind of technology like an app or a website.
That's right.
It could be a hardcore business. You could have a grass cutting or tree cutting business. Just trade somebody else's time for money.
That's right.
Right? Pay them $20 an hour, and you charge
Sub it out.
You charge customer $40 an hour.
Sure. I would say find what fits you.
I'll give you another idea too. Find what fits you, of course. We talked about that with you. Like, if you're not doing what you love, it's not going to last. It's going to be tough. I know a guy. This has been years ago, but he had a business that basically all he did was acquire roofing jobs. And the guy didn't even own a roofing company. He would acquire roofing jobs and just subcontract them out.
Genius.
He was a sales guy. That's all he did. He couldn't tell you how to run a string of shingles if his life depended on it. Well, I say that. I don't know. He may have more education than I know, but
Sure.
He didn't have to worry about it because he didn't do that. He was trading somebody else's time for money. He'd go sell the job. He already knew what his guys that he would subcontract it to were going to charge him by the square. So he would do the little bit of sales it took. He'd go out, sell the roof at his price, flip it to these guys at their price. They were happy because they didn't have to acquire business. He's sending it all to them. He's not having to do anything. He's driving around in his truck and selling jobs. And so, that kind of goes back to, it doesn't have to be an app, a website, or whatever. Just figure out something where you're not necessarily trading your time for money. Now, the thing is, though, he's still having to sell the job, and he's only getting paid once for it. If you can figure out how to sell the job and get paid over and over and over and over forever, that's even a better deal.
Well, good. This was a fun one. I love the fun ones.
Yeah,
they've all been fun. We're only 6 in, so
what was if you're 23? What was? Did you say? You kind of said
I didn't. I think we'll pick that one on the next episode.
I think that's a good thing. I think we should ask every guest
if they were 23, what would they do different?
Yep. Knowing what you know now, because you have to kind of throw that in there.
I can go ahead and do this because mine is very simple. I wouldn't have done anything different.
You'd experience the same things you did.
Yeah.
The learning lessons.
Absolutely. There's no question. We wouldn't be having this podcast if I didn't make major life mistakes.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Being in the import-export business at 23 was not a wise decision.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So at 23. So it's
well, I mean, everything I described in my 23-year-old journey were the things that I learned. And there were hard lessons. Somebody could have told me what to do when I was 23 and I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah. Oh, no. Stop. It's funny. I tell my mom this all the time. The older she gets, the smarter she gets. She was telling me the same stuff. Her lines have never changed.
Now you just listen.
Now it just makes sense.
Yeah.
And I do listen.
So I guess that's the one thing I wish I would have done when I was 23. Listen. Mm-hmm. Listen and learn.
Yeah.
All right, man. Good one.
This was a good one. Thanks, brother.
Yep.
Thank you, guys. And next week, a whole nother new episode. It's going to be a really good one with somebody really exciting.
We hope so, at least.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Y'all have fun. Somebody come get me.